Hajimamashite. It's Ace. It's been a while. You guys know. Just making a review on a new game that I'm playing for about a year now. It's called PGR. And I'm gonna be talking about the divisive story that everyone has been talking about, especially on X. And it's Dream to the Timeless End, which is a Selena story, which by society's my third favorite character, other than Vera and Chu. But what I want to talk about is the basic review of this story. And first of all, I will start with a rating of, I would say, around 7 out of 10 compared to the rest of the stories and how good the other stories have been. 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10. But I don't like the way that I've been seeing on X or Twitter about how people have been lambasting this story, saying it's a horrible story, it's trash, it's not worth your while, and like it's just completely useless. And I think that is a false thing. But I would just pick my spots. First of all, we know, or I know, this is gonna be a spoiler or a little bit of spoiler. So if you haven't actually read the story, and if you don't want to read the story, you can, you can just watch. But if you do want to read it, you could just, back off and then read it, and then come back to this video if you want to. So the story begins with, Selena, and to mention this, and aforementioned, I believe that they messed up. Kuro messed up and should have put this and made everyone read this first, because in the way I did it, I read this first and then I read the main story, which you don't have to do, but it makes sense in everything prior. That if you read the Journal of Promise story or the Affection story, you can read the Dream to the Timeless End because it makes sense and it flows perfectly like that. So, if everyone doesn't know, Selena was a girl who was part of the World Government Association of Art, right? The WGAA, and she made a story or a play called The Acadia's Retreat or The Acadia's something, yeah. And she, first of all, it was successful. It was successful. Everyone liked it. But then there was one construct, and he didn't like it, and she asked her opinion or asked him of his opinion, and she said, or he said, that it was a joke. They were celebrating a war, that the people who did not get evacuated, by the way, it's Acadia evacuation, my bad, were suffering on Earth, and the punishment is nothing to be laughed at and joked at, which is cool. Knowing that, she had a pen pal and she started talking about the idea of turning herself into a construct. And if anyone doesn't know what a construct is, it's a robot but with the mind of a human, right? So she figured out that she was able to make the construct surgery, but she wanted another opinion of it. So she'd be talking to a pen pal, she calls the conductor, or she in her head was a conductor, and the pen pal is told her to achieve it. If she wants to do it, she should do it. So she did it, and she was in the military working for the WGGA, and then sometime she went to a mission with her commanders. I wouldn't say she had a commandant at the time because of she was part of the WGGA, but she was like a support role, like for like a mission that he had in one of the satellites near Babylonia. Babylonia is the place where most of the people retreated to when they came from Earth. Babylonia is like a big ass satellite that can also travel as well, but they're using it as a base where it has military as well as some civilians who are rich, right? Rich civilians who, we do missions from there. They go back, to and fro to Earth. It's a safe haven. So yeah, but yeah, there's a satellite next to Babylonia that they went to the mission in, and they figured out at the end that it was actually worse than they expected. The punishing was was more just focused in that spot, and it was kind of not on your pay grade. So most of the people that went there died, and she was the one left, and her commander told her before he died that, hey, please, or if this is your last mission, please bring it to Babylonia and survive, Selena. So she tries to survive, and she got to a place where um, if there were supposed to be help, that they could be able to open the hangar and she could be able to escape with the data in hand. But she realizes at the end, when she was calling for Babylonia, the Babylonians abandoned them because they didn't have enough resources to help them. And she was basically, hope of life was drained from her eyes. It's very, 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 very sad story, but come to find out, I think in 10 years, 10 more years, she was found again when Babylonia revisited that satellite. And she was still alive, but not in alive in the way you think. She was full with the Punisher virus. She was still, yeah, I mean, constructs don't have to breathe, but her mind was still intact. She still had everything else, right? But she was basically in constant pain and suffering, and she didn't turn off her pain sensors or receptors. So she was in pain and suffering for 10 years, just a head on a stick. And when we got to her, the commandant, which is basically ourselves, basically, but I wouldn't consider that as self-insert, but it's just a specific character in the story, a main character in the story, per se. Commandant and the Grey Raven came to the satellite, and basically, they couldn't find her. They also came with her best friend Isla, but that's another different story. I don't want to go in a tangent. But they found her, but Gabriel took her instead and went straight back to Earth. And then Gabriel, which is an ascendant who worked for Luna at the time, used her to make the red tide spur, or be the focal point of the red tide at the time. And then a few more missions later, we found out that the red tide was surging on a specific noise, a siren noise per se. And then the commandant and Wan Shi went over there and solved the issue, destroyed the siren. It was a pretty good boss. And they were actually, the siren was about to kill the commandant, but then he said wait, and then Selena waited, got control of the siren at the last second, and with that, Washi and commander were able to destroy. The problem is that she was about to die, but then she got saved by the merciful one, aka named Ishmael, which is this character over here. I think you're the strongest character in the entire game, I would say. Ishmael, the merciful one, and she was able to construct her body using the red tide, which not a lot of people know, but she was able to construct her body through the red tide, and from that on, she went on a journey of finding her memories because her mind was destroyed and she had no idea who she was, and memories, and she had to, and Ishmael was like, I fixed you as much as possible, it's up to you to find your own memories. So she journeyed on Earth, just searching for something that can help trigger her memories. And since she's made of the red tide, she is basically a transcendent, which she doesn't get affected by the punishing, and she can use the punishing as a weapon per se, and also tap into the punishing information and like see the past, aka using the red tide, right? So this is where basically the story of the side story, which I read, right, began. It was when she was looking at a journey of all these, right? And then she found someone, construct, and with that she was able to figure out or get her memories back by the construct telling her that, hey, what is your ID number? She was able to recite it, and then from then on, boom, the spark happened. She was able to get her memories back. She thought of the commandant. I mean, There's also a story that I'm also like leaving out because I think the commandant they met each other again in the something, and that's why she was actually able to know who the commandant was. But she was able to know who the commandant was the pen pal, and stuff like that. Uh, Mind you, it was something, and there was also a lot of romantic subtext, which yeah, it's either there or there, but it is what it is. And she was happy that she finally was able to go back to her life again after roaming the planet for I don't know how many months, but she was able to roam the planet for a while now, and I think years actually, to be fair. But yeah, she was roaming the planet. She's finally able to go back to Babylonia to figure out that her frame was basically unstable because it's made of the red tide, and she was able to go back into a new frame called Pianissimo. Right, Pianissimo is a new frame you can see right here. It's beautiful, honestly. Let me actually show you guys a better model of it since I have the character. You can see it right there. But yeah, the Pianissimo. Right, cool one right here. And you can see our other frames that she was having. This was the frame she was using to go against the world. I don't have it because, I'm not that rich like that. I think it's this one. Yeah, this one was the one she was using to roam the planet. No, was it? Well, I think it's either Capriccio or Tempest. I believe it's Tempest. But yeah, that was the one she was using to roam the world. Let me just collect some of these. It's kind of bothering me. Dream to the Diamond Sand. Collectibles. But as I continue, she was able to switch. And then there was a story about her bond with the commandant. And, simple days. And then at the end of that Journey of Promise story, it then begins the actual story. Like, it makes sense, right? And then it became that she was fighting Lue. Let me say the name again. Enora Luea, right? An assassin or a warrior from the future who came to the past to come to kill the commandant. And she realizes that the commandant is in danger, so she asks Ishmael what to do. The Merciful One. Merciful One is also in a control court, and she's really a double agent. I don't know if I would say double agent, but she's literally like she's a spectator. She's just in the control court. She's in our world because she's bored. So she, Selena figures out that was the Merciful One, Ishmael. Asked Ishmael, what do I do? And Ishmael told her that since you basically have the power, you could probably just see if you could trap her in a time prison. Which, okay, cool. She has the ability to trap her in a time prison. So Selena thought of this bright idea to have a time prison so she can trap Luea into it. And then after the cycle is complete, they can cut off the branch. And, the timeline doesn't exist. So that you can be in a Lue can be in a time prison forever, as with her being there, because for timeline to be complete, right, she has to be there or it will fail. And because of that, everyone starts to use their memories of Selena. Simple as that. Question this and that, and that's the entire plan. That's what she wanted to do. This and that. It starts off with the commandant and Isla figuring out that there's something's wrong here. There's, this commandant looked at his books, saw there was a lot of letters that had a WGAA print on it, and it was blank, multiple letters, and he was like, what the hell is going on here, And Isla could not paint because Isla's her best friend, by the way. Let me show you to her. But Isla was like, she couldn't even paint properly because she was so like, what? I'm missing something. This Isla right here. Just mind something. But this is her construct. But yeah, she has that, and we don't talk about that. But yeah, Isla is her best friend, and they knew something was amiss, and something was amiss. She's not part of the timeline anymore, so she's getting erased from everyone's memories. They figured out they were trying to figure it out. They tried using the help of the Science Council, so Asimov and also Teddy from the engineering something to figure it out. They figured out a weird frame, which is her old frame Capriccio, in a warehouse. So Commandant and Isla and Teddy went to go investigate. They went to investigate, and then they fought Luea's armor clone, right, or a vestige from the past. Um, and because of the fights, um, Commandant and Isla fought, and because of the fight, it damaged the Capriccio frame, and because of that, the clone wanted to return back in time. The clone tried to, and boom, the Commandant got fist in this mist, and he went back into the prison time, or the time prison that Selena had orchestrated for Luea. So now the Commandant and Selena are together. Selena thought she would never see the Commandant again. The Commandant does not know who she is because he's lost his memories. And now they have to help get Jonathan, which is like a mission order, to help get a treaty with the specific region. And that will complete the cycle. No, they had something. And then I think what I believe was going on was that there was a lot of romantic subtext. She was trying to, in my opinion, reason or say goodbye to the Commander without her this showing who she actually is. She calls herself Iris, but because Selena is actually her name, but she calls herself Iris because she loves the flower iris. And yeah, it's basically how it is. You know, they did their mission. She did a lot of stuff that I'm like, okay, cool. You know, a little bit forced, but you know, I can see where she's coming from, because to her, the Commandant, from her point of view, the Commandant is the bright spark in her life, the one that brought her from the darkness that she thought was her life, the one that helped her in choosing even being a construct in the first place. So I can see why she has a romantic subtext to Selena, to the Commandant, and why she loves him. And the story ends that she sends Commandant back to her timeline, and Selena fights Luea for 5-6 days, or actually 7 days in a week straight, because of they just needed 7 more days for the cycle, or the final cycle, to complete. And then she'll be trapped in the time prison with Luea, even dead or alive, right? And the Commandant, knowing that this was happening, asked Ishmael what she should do, and Ishmael was being hesitant, like, you can't save her. Well, even if you did find it, what will you do? But then Ishmael was like, there's a way. And because of that, Asimov and the Commandant figured out a way to be able to not go there, but connect the mind beacon across time to connect to her frame, and then bring her back through that. And alas, that happened. They were able to beat Enoluea, and Selena was able to come back to the present and basically end the story. It's a simple story, honestly, simpler than most, honestly, better than not better, but way easier to understand than this arc that we had. This arc was honestly peak arc right here, peak arc. Not gonna lie, best arc in a PGR of all time, but needs in there. But basically, I'm gonna talk about why this is so controversial. From what I've basically gauged from Twitter, is that most people don't like that she is that Selena doesn't have any character arc except the shipping between Selena and the Commandant. And I get and I retain that point, and I'm like, okay, I can see where you're coming from. You want her to have her own character arc. You want her to, you know, maybe talk a lot more and interact a lot more with Isla. That she doesn't talk a lot with Isla, which that's also disappointing to me, because it's in this was a fantastic, I forgot the name of this complete name, but Renaissance du Fantastique was when Isla was searching for Selena, and it's kind of shame that they didn't go into depth with that, but they focused on Selena with the Commandant and the romantic subtext with it. And so I see your point of why people don't like it, and you're allowed to not like it, which I'm not trying to say, ooh, I don't have a problem with people not liking it, but yeah, you're allowed to like it, but this is what gets on my nerves is this specific tweet. Um, this username. I honestly can't break, and I honestly don't really care about it, but I'm not gonna plug your name. You can see it right here. Every romantic dialogue in the main story feels cheap and bland. How beautifully written was Lucia SSK in Shepherd's Ripples. I used to like Selena SSK, but now it feels forced. I don't know what you think. Now, I'm like, okay, you're forcing it, but sure. Now, let's see this tweet. It's Iris Selena saying, "Darling, I've found you." And then the thing that says, "Of course," or "Hooky Honey." Which, if anyone actually read what it is, or actually read the entire chapter, we know that this was a fake pre-substance that they were trying to get into a airport and basically cause havoc. And he was trying to escape, and then the guard came, and then he didn't know what to do. He didn't want to force his way out, and then the guard, like, arresting him. So Iris knew he was in a pinch and said, did this substance. And I'm like, cool. It's literally not even true. Like, this is just this is rage bait. Like, honestly, this is rage bait, in my opinion. Most people will be like, this is giving me second, yeah. Like, yeah, basically, what I've noticed is that many people are, seeking IR by iced and stuff like that. Like, people are saying they'll never do it again. I'm pissing my pants. And I'm like, cool, right? I see where you're coming from. You don't like the chapter, but many or these people are using this chapter to bash on not the chapter, not what it unfolds, not giving it the right criticism, but bash on it because it's not your favorite ship. What are we doing here? Just because it's not your favorite ship. The fact that you compared it with Shape of Ripples, because Shape of Ripples, in my opinion, wasn't even a love story. Like, bro, I don't care what you say. That was not something. Even in the end, I felt like that was even like love. It felt like more of a goodbye in the way they kissed, because it doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of stuff I can talk about Shippers. I don't want to get into Shippers Ripples because that's like, bro, that's one of the best some stories I've ever read in this game. So like, Shape of Ripples talks about at the end was about sacrificing himself, and Lucia, if you haven't read, I'm sorry for something. This is gonna be a spoiler. Lucia dies. Lucia literally dies, and knowing that she's about to die, she kisses the commandant and says, and then realizes on the verge of her death, "Why am I leaving you alone?" And then, as soon as she dies, what does Commander say? "Why must you leave me alone?" Because both of them, during the entire arc, were trying to sacrifice themselves for each other. Lucia was trying to sacrifice herself for the Commandant. Commander was trying to sacrifice herself for Lucia and the rest of the Grave Ravens, so they could get out of the Hetero Tower. So, like, I'm like, okay, cool. I can see it. It's like the bond was there. The bond is rich. We get it, right? But then you want to talk about that, but you don't want to acknowledge what Selena's also going through from her own point of view. It doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like you can hate on 34 and say it's not written right, that she should have more depth, that it was just literally a simple story compared to the peak that we've been given an Infinite Loop arc, right? Like, it's not good. Like, you can say it's not good. Even in my opinion, I think it's a 6.5 out of 10. But you can say it's not good. Give good criticisms, but don't say that because of I don't like the Lucia, I don't like the Selena commandant ship. I like Lucia commandant ship. I like choosing, bro. Like, can we actually be for real here, please? Like, I know that Kuro fucked up by not they should have forced everyone to do this one first. Do this one first, and then it makes the flow of the story make sense. And the story is also limited in many areas, but I'm not talk about it. I'm just talking about just the controversy that everyone's talking about it. Like, I see people saying, I don't know what to think, but then they're like, well, it's because Selena and Commandant are too forced. I don't like Selena with Commandant. I want Selena with Ayla because they're Yuri. Like, they want you. I swear down. Like, okay, cool. Like, but there's multiple here. Like, I'm fine with having your ships, but just don't lambast a chapter because it's not your ship. It doesn't make any sense to me, because I've seen people say that this is decent, people say it's good, people say it's bad, people said this is pretty good. So because Vera, I don't know, Vera will command it is also another one that people like, but Selena will command that people don't like. I don't get it. The story of this chapter is decent at best. Decent at best. That's why I gave it a 6.5. Not bad. Like, there's ones that are bad that people don't talk about. Like, I would say that Aeon Force is bad, but people like it because of it's a male or something. Okay, I like it. Everlasting Glow Justice was not good. I would give a 4 out of 10. This was pretty good. This was not good at all. I will give this a 4 out of 10. This was good. Like, there's so many ones that you could lambast, right? Most of these are actually good. Disaster or something. This was just a complete 15 out of 10. 15 out of 10. Decent. Like, you could not like this. I'm fine with you not liking this. But I feel like you using that to just say, oh, I don't like the ship, so fuck it, it's a bit too for me. Like, I'm sorry for calling this person out, but like, I also looked at, like, she said, like, wait. What the hell? That's cool, but anyway, she said something about, like, so I don't do something wrong. Let me look at the quotes. Oh, my bad. Sorry guys, my first video after a while. I just have to complain about this. She said that she doesn't really care, but it's like bland. I remember it's one of these. Shuyachi or something. People are saying that undercover here, who gives a fuck? Was still bland as fuck. And she's also called SKK Darling after. Yeah, under her breath. Like, you just lambasting it because you don't like it. Like, it's fine to not like it, but fuck in hell, man. You don't have to lambast a chapter and say that, give him horrible criticisms, bro, because if you don't like a ship, it's bland. I don't know, maybe that's just my take on it, but I'm not sure if anyone's gonna watch this video. But if you're watching this video, give a comment on it. That's literally all I have. I just don't like it. I might post more video on just game videos or like whatever I want to talk about. And like PGR is like honestly one of my favorite gachas. It's honestly the only gacha I basically play now. Dokkan is done. If anyone knows about my previous video here, Grand Cross, I haven't played that game in 5 years. But yeah, it's the only game I play. And honestly, if you don't know what this game is, you should give it a try. You should see if you like it or not. It's pretty simple to get into, but the characters get difficult as you're in Gen 3 right now. And the next patch is gonna be the Devil May Cry patch, so it's also very good to get into. I'm probably not gonna give a review on this, but I feel like it's gonna be good. I'm not gonna give a review on the Vera chapter unless there's another controversy, but I might also give you just random gaming videos with probably just playing Outdivers, I don't know, Monster Hunter, Football Manager, just maybe a new save. But yeah, just wanted to test this out to see if, first of all, the recording thing actually works, and something else. So, thank you. Bye.